Welcome back to Move365. If you're watching on Instagram, please click on the bio and hit the link to the YouTube channel where you can see the full-length video. Following yesterday's video on engaging your core, I wanted to just elaborate a little bit on the position that your spine should maintain when you have that core engagement. When you have switched those muscles on, you put that abdominal brace in place. Ideally, you'd like your spine to be in a neutral position. What do I mean by neutral? I mean, as far as the lumbar spine is concerned, the lower back, this little hollow shape, this gentle hollow curve. Not overly exaggerated, not as far as you could go into extension, and certainly not tucking your tailbone under, tucking your bottom under and flattening that curve. You want just a gentle midpoint between as much as you could flex and as much as you could extend, and that's neutral spine. It's the optimum load-bearing position for the discs, the little cartilage cushions in between each of the bones. And I'll explain why it's important in a moment. A lot of your exercise with core stability may be lying down, and there can be a tendency, let me put this down, for instructors to suggest that what you should do when you exercise is to take that little hollow shape in your spine and flatten it, to tilt your pelvis back and imprint your spine down onto the mat or down onto the floor. Sometimes they'll suggest that you do it vertebra by vertebra. And I take a little bit of issue with that, and again I'll explain why in a minute. I think that whether you're lying with legs straight or legs bent, there should always be a little hollow in the small of your back. You should be able to slide your fingers just underneath there easily. You don't want to be so extended that you could slide a fist under there, and you definitely don't want to be pulling your spine down into the table. In that neutral spine position where you can slide your fingertips underneath the small of your back, bracing your abdominal muscles, as I showed you yesterday, as if you were going to brace against somebody punching you in the stomach, that's a safe place to do that. The reason that we recommend working your abdominal muscles with the spine in that neutral position is because inside the discs is a little gel center, a little nucleus, wrapped in concentric fibers, a bit like layers of an onion skin. And these fibers, again, they crisscross each other, they go in different directions in order to provide rigidity and stability to the outside of the disc. But we know that if you bend the spine forwards, if you flex the spine, what happens to this central nucleus is it behaves a bit like the ice cream in an ice cream wafer. If you bite it at the front, the ice cream scoots out the back. So as we bend forwards, the pressure inside the disc pushes back onto the back wall of the disc, where it can begin to break down the laminations of the disc, the fibrous element of the disc. It begins to create little nicks and tears in the outer wall of the disc, and eventually that can lead to a complete breach of the wall of the disc, bulging or herniation of this central nucleus out towards the nerve roots at the back of the disc, and then you may well be involved in nerve pain out into your limbs. In this case, usually sciatica down into the leg. So, in my opinion, it is not safe, particularly for those people who are vulnerable to disc problems, to take your spine out of that neutral, slightly hollow curve and imprint it down onto the ground, flex it down onto the ground whilst engaging your abdominal muscles as part of an exercise. It can be counterproductive. you can end up literally picking the scab off an injury, which then becomes more inflamed, more irritated, and if you're struggling at all, healing a back problem through the use of core stability exercise, you might want to consider what position is your lumbar spine in when you are going through your exercises. We're going to elaborate on that, come back to that, reinforce that point time and again in future videos, but for the time being, I hope that's helpful. We're here every day bringing you better health through good movement.